Lesson 66 in A Course in Miracles. My happiness and my function are one. You have surely noticed an emphasis throughout our recent lessons on the connection between fulfilling your function and achieving happiness. This is because you do not really see the connection. Yet there is more than just a connection between them. They are the same thing. The ego does constant battle with the Holy Spirit on the fundamental question of what your function is. So does it do constant battle with the Holy Spirit about what your happiness is. It is not a two-way battle. The ego attacks and the Holy Spirit does not respond. He knows what your function is. He knows that it is your happiness. Today we will try to go past this wholly meaningless battle and arrive at the truth about your function. We will not engage in ceaseless arguments about what it is. We will not become hopelessly involved in defining happiness and determining the means for achieving it. We will not indulge the ego by listening to its attacks on truth. We will merely be glad that we can find out what truth is. Our longer practice period today has as its purpose your acceptance of the fact that not only is there a very real connection between the function God gave you and your happiness, but they are actually identical. God gives you only happiness. Therefore, the function He gave you must be happiness, even if it appears to be different. Today's exercises are an attempt to go beyond these differences in appearance and recognize a common content where it exists in truth. Begin the 10 to 15 minute practice period by reviewing these thoughts. God gives me only happiness. He has given my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness. Try to see the logic in this sequence, even if you do not yet accept the conclusion. It is only if the premises are wrong that the conclusion could be false. Let us then think about the premises for a while as we are practicing. The first is that God gives you only happiness. This could be false, of course, but in order to be false, it is necessary to define God as something He is not. Love cannot give evil, and what is not happiness is evil. God cannot give what He does not have, and He cannot have what He is not. Unless God gives you only happiness, He must be evil. And it is this definition of Him which you are believing if you do not accept the first premise, that God gives me only happiness. The second premise is that God has given you your function. We have seen that there are only two parts of your mind. One is ruled by the ego and is made up of illusions. The other is the home of the Holy Spirit, where truth abides. There are no other guides but these to choose between, and no other outcomes possible as the result of your choice, but the fear which the ego always engenders, and the love which the Holy Spirit always offers to replace it. Thus, it must be that your function is established by God through His voice in you, or is made by the ego, which you have made to replace Him. Which is true? Unless God gave your function to you, it must be the gift of the ego. Does the ego really have gifts to give? Being itself an illusion, and offering only the illusion of gifts. Think about this during the long practice period today. Think also about the many forms the illusion of your function has taken in your mind, and the many ways in which you have tried to find salvation under the ego's guidance. Did you find it? Were you happy? Did they bring you peace? We will need great honesty today. Remember the outcomes fairly, and consider also whether it was reasonable to expect happiness from anything the ego has ever proposed. Yet, it is the only alternative to the Holy Spirit's voice, You will listen to madness or hear the truth. Try to make this choice as you think about the premises on which our conclusions rest. We can share in this conclusion, but in no other, for God Himself shares it with us. Today's idea is another giant stride in the perception of the same as the same, and the different as different. On one side stand all illusions. All truth stands on the other. Let us try today to realize that only the truth is true. In the shorter practice periods, which would be particularly helpful if undertaken twice an hour today, this form of application is suggested. My happiness and my function are one, because God has given me both. It will not take more than a minute, and probably less, to repeat these words slowly and think about them a little as you say them. Let's begin the 15-minute practice period. Closing your eyes. First reviewing the thoughts. God gives me only happiness. He has given my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness. God gives me only happiness. He has given my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness. Try to see the logic in this sequence. Love cannot give evil, and what is not happiness is evil. God cannot give what He does not have, and He cannot have what He is not. God gives only happiness. God gives me only happiness. Unless He gives me only happiness, He must be evil. And anyone with a real experience of love, of God, knows that love is only good, only happy. He has given my function to me. There are only two parts to the mind. one ruled by the ego, made up of illusions. The other, where the Holy Spirit abides, in perfect peace, only two guides, two outcomes: love, listening to the Holy Spirit, and fear, listening to the ego. He has given my function to me, my function to listen to the Holy Spirit and follow His voice. By following, being happy, withdrawing all the ideas I had about the world, all the meaning I placed on the world, so I can become indescribably happy. Your function is established by the voice of God within you. If you do not accept your guide of peace and love and joy, your guide to wholeness, then you must accept the guide to fear. Think about all the many illusions of form, all the things the ego tells you is your function to have, to keep, all the ways you try to find salvation under the ego's guidance. Bigger, better, more. Did you find it? Were you happy? Did they bring you peace? He has given my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness. Where have you searched for happiness in this world and never found it? We will need great honesty today, remembering the outcomes fairly and considering whether it was reasonable to expect happiness from anything the ego ever proposed. Think about all the things that you've done in your life that you hope to give you happiness. Only led to wanting more. Take a couple of minutes to try and remember You will listen to madness or hear the truth. There are only these two options: the Holy Spirit's voice or the ego's. Try to make this choice as you think about the premises on which our conclusions rest. We can share in this conclusion, in no other. For God Himself shares it with us, that our happiness and our function are the same. God gives me only happiness. He has given my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness. He wants you to be happy. His voice is guiding you to peace, to joy, to joining, to harmony. You can take this giant stride today, seeing perception of the same as the same, and the different as different, seeing beyond the veil, seeing all the shining, happy faces, beyond what your eyes seem to see, looking past all your judgments that someone has done you wrong, turning away from the illusion, standing firmly in the sight of the truth. There are only these two sides. Seeing with the body's eyes, or seeing with real vision through the heart, through the mind of Christ. Let us realize today that only the truth is true. God gives me only happiness. He has given my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness. Even thinking about this idea before time was, God gave you your function to be happy, to create, to be, without care or concern, wholly complete, spirit, divine, unlimited forever. God gives me only happiness. He has given my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness. God gives only happiness. Your function and your happiness are one. Fulfill your function and you will be happy. See the world that has been extended by the Holy Spirit, the real world, the happy world. God gives me only happiness. He has given my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness. Go beyond the appearance. Look to the purpose in the mind. Would I forgive and be happy, seeing through the Holy Spirit's eyes, or hold my perception through the ego's fearful lens and keep my grievances away from His light? God gives me only happiness. He has given my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness. Remember to set a timer today. Use whatever means possible to remember your half-an-hour reminder. Closing your eyes if possible on the world. Eating. My happiness and function are one because God has given me both. My happiness and my function are one because God has given me both. Take a minute, maybe a bit less. Repeat these words slowly and think about them a little as you say them. See yourself doing this throughout the day. Feel the commitment. Feel the determination now. See yourself doing them. Halting in the middle of work, wherever you are, pausing, going within, remembering my happiness and my function are one. My happiness and function are one because God has given me both. Take a minute now to set the intention for the rest of your day. Bless you, have a wonderful day, and check out the mobile app for the supported daily practice periods, the few minutes, so you can go over to the app, listen to the day's audios and help it to practice for the minute or two, shorter practice periods for today. My happiness and function are one because God has given me both. My happiness and function are one because God has given me both. My happiness and function are one because God has given me both.